lighting is so dependent on where you put the camera. Um, the best lighting is the camera in the right position.
You know, I think just from my own point of view, the film has so many really beautiful images in it and angles that you don't expect, honestly, in a movie like this.
Mhm.
How did that develop with Ryan? Was that something he's on board with, that it be shot like a real movie and
Yeah.
not like a popcorn movie?
When you're able to find a brilliant collaborator that is trusting and honestly just a beautiful human being outside of being an artist, with that comes a great kind of experience and trust, even on a big budget level, right? So it's like a lot of people are looking at big budget and there's so much structure and there's so much money involved and there's so many rules and time constraints and actors and schedules. But Ryan is someone who has proven himself and is a true artist, but also has a respect on set from all of the department heads. So when you come with ideas, and he's very collaborative in that sense, but he's also someone who wants to try different things and is not afraid of something this big feeling more intimate and character driven and personal. So that was something he said early on, that he wanted it to feel like that, because this time around obviously um, the lead actor passed away and they had to kind of pivot, and that's a big deal, considering how much love was for this character and also just for that person as a human being. And they all got very close on the first one, so it was very important that there was so much emotion infused in this one and that it felt real and humanistic.
Talk about the transition from indie films to big films like this and big series like Loki.
But honestly, like, even though you're on these bigger sets, it's really about management and collaboration. And if you're lucky enough to be collaborating with great people, um, it can feel easy. And if you have a great team around you, of your crew, and you have the support and trust of your director, that means the world, right? And it allows you to kind of open up and have big ideas and execute big things. And you know um, you have to make decisions quickly and be fast. And so I think, coming from indie films and learning the craft at AFI and doing a ton of work on smaller stuff and helping your friends out and stuff, it all serves you when you kind of get to a really high level, because you're going to be asked millions of questions. You have a long schedule, there's a lot of money on the line, you have a lot of more experienced people around you asking you what you want, how you want to do this, how you want to do that. Everyone's standing there staring at you, and you need to be able to answer quickly, and you have to know truly what it is you want to communicate.
This film has a lot of variation in skin tone from light to very dark. What and it all looks, naturalistic, and you never feel like it was difficult for you. Um, what enabled you to do that? Was it having done it before, or um, what was your thinking going into it? Were you worried about that?
No, I think I've always, like, when it comes to, I mean, just in general, being a person of color, right? Like, knowing different variations of skin tones versus my music video work, to, I think, mostly my feature work. Prior to my first studio film, most of my protagonists were white females and very young girls, right? So that you have a lot of freedom in lighting, an 18-year-old beautiful girl. And, maybe that's just one skin tone for the whole project. And I think I remember my first studio film, I had Yara Shahidi, gorgeous, gorgeous female. Beautiful girl and actress, and beautiful skin. And you always want to do justice to whatever skin tone you're being given, whether it's someone darker against someone lighter. And I always feel like I'm not going to overlight a skin tone because it's darker. I'm just going to light everyone as beautifully as they can to bring out their best quality in their skin. So, it becomes a little trickier when you have someone very, very dark against someone lighter, but the same approach. I'm always thinking of, the exposure at which her skin tone and her performance can shine. Like, I never want to put her in a position because she's got a darker skin tone that her performance can't shine because, she falls into a darker place in the room, and that's not fair to her. So that's something you have to think about and work with your gaffer. And it's thought about beforehand a lot because we're on big sets, right? And we're lighting from we're putting rigs in the sky so that we can manipulate lights off and on depending on the scene or the blocking. So I would say in this type of big ensemble with many skin tones, it's a lot of prep and thought about how you can create a nice soft source, a beautiful source, and beautiful contrast in a quick way on a big set with multiple people. But I'm just, I think I've always been most into lighting. Like it came out of AFI. Like I think early on when you had to crew, I was always like, I want to be in the lighting department. So I find that I'm always paying most attention to lighting. Like that always wins as far as like after I pick my lens, it's all about lighting for me. But in picking the lens, it's still about lighting because I pick the lenses that are going to give me the best lighting. I've always wanted I've wanted to be a DP because, being a photographer and connecting with your subject, you feel something, right? And if you put the camera in the right place, there's that connection and you're just overwhelmed by emotion. And so I find that, being on small films, being an operator, figuring that out, like that's not taken away even on a bigger film and you've got all this stuff around. It's still an actor standing in front of you doing a fantastic job, and it's your job to make it feel real so that when the audience watches it and the director, is happy. So what audience watches it and they have an emotional reaction. So if I'm not having one on set, then I know that my audience isn't going to have one as well. So I always keep that in mind. Small, big, doesn't matter. And it obviously helps, if the environment being created for you has that, built in. And that comes from the top, right? Producers, director, AD, actors. Like, are we creating a set that feels real, that feels emotional, that feels like a safe place for people to be creative? And when that's being done, you feel trusted and you can move the camera around and you can find the right shot and you can ask for things. And so I think it's important, big or small, to always find the right place. And if you're not happy with it, like if you're doing a shot and it's the wrong height or it's handheld and it shouldn't be, and maybe it should go back on the dolly and it's going to take 10 minutes, you speak up and you say, you know what, I can get you a better shot and, a better eye line or maybe an adjustment of light that can make it feel more emotional, or I can introduce this flare, give me 5 minutes, So I find that that's really important, is that it feels emotional. And I think we were able to do that on this set because of, Ryan is very important to Ryan, and me. So it's good that the people in charge are, that's like what they're driving forward to everybody.